I never thought I'd be posting anything like this. My hands are still shaking so bad I can barely type. NGL. Just 20 minutes ago, I was feeling good, thinking about a fresh start. And now I'm hiding in a company car, staring at a cheap motel, and my entire world just imploded. I'm Mike, 42, married to Sarah for 15 years, two amazing kids. I thought we had it all figured out. But then I saw her car, and everything just broke. This is a throwaway account because if Sarah or Paige ever saw this IDK, what would happen? TBH, things have been pretty good, or so I thought. My life was steady. I was a family man, dedicated. My focus was always on Sarah, Paige, and my son Mark. We were a unit. A couple weeks back, I even saw Paige's boyfriend, Todd, out with some other chick. NGL, it bugged me. A huge red flag, obviously, but I kind of just pushed it down. Thought maybe I saw wrong or it was a friend. Paige seemed happy enough, and you want to trust your kid's judgment, right? My brain just didn't connect it to anything darker. At the time, I just put it down to some random bad dude my daughter was dating, not a threat to my world. Then, out of nowhere, I got this insane offer. A promotion, a big one in Daytona Beach. Big pay raise, full benefits, and get this, a free apartment for a year to get settled. I mean, who says no to that? It sounded like exactly what we needed, a fresh start, new scenery, better opportunities for the kids, sun all year round. I accepted it without a second thought, picturing Sarah loving the beach, the kids thriving in a new school. I was so damn excited. This was for us. I flew in today to finalize some paperwork, meet the team, and pick up my company car. Landed feeling on top of the world. As I was leaving the airport, heading to the rental car lot, I saw it. Just a flash, out of the corner of my eye. Sarah's red Camry, distinctive. A bright red, not a common color, so it stood out like a sore thumb in the parking lot of some crappy motel, the kind with hourly rates. My stomach dropped. Why the hell would Sarah be here? The radiator was exposed, like she just popped the hood or something, maybe for a quick check. My heart hammered against my ribs like it was trying to punch its way out. Instant dread. My logical investigator brain kicked in, hard. I drove past, slow, casual. Then I circled back, parking the company car far enough away, hidden behind some bushes where I could see her car, but hopefully not be seen myself. My hands were shaking. I grabbed the little knife I carry, mostly for opening packages or whatever, and walked quietly up to her car. Without even thinking, I cut the valve stem off her spare tire. It was a stupid, desperate move, but I knew she'd call someone. She always did when she had car trouble. This would buy me time, force her hand. I retreated back to my hidden car. My phone was dead, which was a blessing and a curse. No way to call anyone, but also no distraction. I just sat there waiting, a cold knot in my gut tightening with every passing minute. Then I heard voices, Sarah's voice, and another man's, Todd, Paige's boyfriend. My blood ran cold. They were laughing. Man, after a meal like that, I don't think I can move, Todd said. A meal like that, my world, the one I thought was so solid, just shattered into a million tiny sharp pieces. Sarah scoffed. Yeah, well, if Mike had replaced the spare like I asked him to, we wouldn't be stuck here. Todd chuckled, and I heard him say, what an idiot. An idiot. My wife and my daughter's boyfriend, talking about me like that, disrespecting me, laughing at me. My vision blurred. I wanted to scream, to smash something, to drag them both out into the street, but I couldn't move. I was frozen, numb, just listening. Then another car pulled up. Familiar. Paige's old sedan. No fucking way. My daughter, my own daughter. She got out of her car, a spare tire in her hand. Seriously, Mom, what are you thinking? Paige's voice was sharp, angry. Leaving your car out here with him? Dad will kill you if he finds out. My head was spinning. Paige knew? He's never going to find out if you just calm down and help me with this tire, Sarah hissed back. It's not just the tire, Mom, Paige retorted, her voice dropping a bit, but I could still hear it, clear as day. It's the constant disrespect. Todd, you need to be more careful. My dad's not stupid. He's a good man and he would absolutely go nuclear if he found out. You know how strong he is when he's pissed off? Strong nuclear? My daughter was telling her mother and her mother's lover about my temper, about my strength. She was warning them to be more careful, not to stop, not to break it off, but to just hide it better. The weight of it crushed me. Paige, my little girl, she knew. She had known all along, and she'd been complicit. I mean, why? Why would she do that? Then it hit me. Avoid divorce. She'd rather I be lied to, be made a fool of, than for her parents to divorce. That hurt more than anything Sarah or Todd had said. It was a betrayal from both of them, but Paige's felt like a knife twisting in my heart. I couldn't go home. I couldn't pretend everything was fine. I just drove. I missed Paige's volleyball game, the first one I'd ever missed. My phone was still dead, but even if it wasn't, I couldn't call. What would I even say? As I drove, my mind raced, connecting all the dots. Sarah's weird resistance to moving to Florida. Her excuses about the kids, about not wanting to uproot them. It wasn't about any of that. It was Todd. It was always Todd. He was her reason to stay. The realization hit me hard. I wasn't going to Florida with them. I was going alone, and I needed a plan, a solid one. I couldn't confront them now, not with Paige involved, not with everything so raw. I decided to play dumb. I'd let Sarah think I was taking the Michigan transfer option, the one I'd originally discussed as a backup plan, but I'd quietly finalized the Daytona Beach move. My new apartment, the company car, the whole shebang. I'd give myself until after Thanksgiving, enough time to get everything in order, secure my exit, and then it would all blow up. I woke up in the guest room, the stale air a perfect match for the taste in my mouth. I hadn't slept much. My brain was in overdrive, running through scenarios, building my exit strategy brick by brick. The locked door felt right. It was a physical barrier against them, against the lies, against the life I was leaving behind. I felt numb, almost clinical. The gut punch from the motel was still there, but now it was a cold, hard resolve. This wasn't just anger. It was a mission. Later that morning, I heard them. Footsteps in the hall, then a soft knock. "Mike, you in there?" Sarah's voice laced with annoyance. "What's with the locked door?" Paige was there too. "Dad, are you okay?" I stayed silent. "He's probably just hung over, Paige," Sarah said, her voice dropping to a stage whisper that I could still hear perfectly. "Missed your game for a reason, didn't he? Being dramatic." "But he never misses my games," Paige insisted, a hint of worry in her tone. "What if he finds out, Mom?" "Finds out what?" Sarah scoffed. "He trusts me implicitly. He's an idiot, remember? Just being a big baby. He'll come around once he gets over whatever this is." Idiot. The word echoed from the motel parking lot. I felt a surge of cold fury, but I kept my face blank. Let her think what she wants. It makes my plan easier. I finally got up, showered it, and walked out like nothing was wrong. Sarah tried to say something, but I just grabbed my keys. "Going to IHOP," I said, my voice flat. Didn't wait for a response. As soon as I was in the car, I called Sarah, kept it curt. "Need to handle some work stuff today. Don't wait up." Click. Then I turned off my phone. Blissful silence. NGL, it felt kind of good, like severing a chain. I spent the entire day focused. I drove to the storage unit I rented years ago for old furniture, but now it was for me. I started packing up my tools, my dad's old fishing gear. Some things I knew I couldn't live without. The heavy stuff, the things that were mine. My hands moved methodically, a steady rhythm against the chaos in my head. This wasn't just packing, it was reclaiming. Every box I filled for Florida felt like another step toward freedom, another nail in the coffin of my old life. The company apartment in Daytona was already being prepped. This was happening. When I got home, Sarah was waiting, arms crossed, fuming. "So you just disappear all day? Miss Paige's game? What the hell, Mike?" I shrugged, feigning indifference. "Had things to do. Work stuff." "Work stuff? Seriously, you didn't even call?" "My phone died." A half-truth. Didn't feel like recharging it. I walked past her into the kitchen. No point in engaging. She wanted a fight, but I wasn't giving her one. Not yet. I didn't stick around for dinner. NGL, the idea of eating anything she cooked made me sick. I just said, going out for a bite, and I left. I found a diner, ate a huge burger, and just sat there, people watching. It was weird. I felt okay. Not happy, not sad, but just okay. Like, wow, I can still enjoy a meal by myself. I can still feel something besides gut-wrenching betrayal. It was a small, quiet victory. When I got back, Sarah and Paige were in the living room. I heard Sarah complaining to Paige, "He's still in the guest room. I don't get it. He'll come around, though. He always does." Paige, bless her heart, sounded less convinced. "I don't know, Mom. Dad's different. He's been really quiet. Like, too quiet. It's kind of scary." But Sarah just brushed her off. "He's just being dramatic. He'll forget about it." She was so oblivious, so wrapped up in her own little world of deceit. She couldn't see the volcano brewing right under her nose. I kept up the routine. Breakfast out, quiet mornings. Sometimes I'd go to a coffee shop, just watch people, plan. Other times I'd just stay home, watching football in the living room, ignoring the palpable tension. It was like I was a ghost in my own house. Sarah hated it, I could tell. She thrives on attention, on conflict. But I wasn't giving her either. One evening, after another silent dinner, or lack thereof, Sarah stormed out. "I'm going to Brenda's," she snapped, not even looking at me. Yeah, Brenda's. I knew damn well she was going to Todd's. She came back super late, probably thought I was asleep. No dinner for me again. NGL, I was getting used to it. I grabbed my keys and headed to a local sports pub, had a beer, watched some more football. The freedom tasted bittersweet. I was free, but at what cost? Still, it felt good to not have to pretend, to just be Mike, alone for a few hours. Then my phone buzzed. I picked it up, expecting it to be work or maybe Mark. Unknown number. I opened the text. "Are you Frank?" My heart nearly stopped. Frank? Who the hell is Frank? And why would they be asking me? This was a whole new layer of weirdness. A new thread for my logical investigator brain to tug on. Was this somehow connected to Sarah? To Todd? Or was it something entirely separate? Something from my own past rearing its head? It felt like another brick just got added to the wall around me. I went home. More questions swirling than answers. Sarah was still up, pouring herself a glass of wine. She looked at me, a sarcastic twist to her lips. "Decided to grace us with your presence, did we? Or just needed a place to sleep?" I ignored her, walked straight to the guest room, locked the door behind me. Her confidence, her snide remarks, it was all built on the shaky foundation of her affair. This belief that I was too stupid or too trusting to ever find out. She was so convinced I was blind. NGL, it was almost sad. Almost. After that cryptic, "Are you Frank?" text, my logical investigator brain just went into overdrive. The game had changed. This wasn't just about Sarah and Todd anymore. This was a whole new level of complexity. I needed more than just gut feelings and assumptions. I needed hard evidence. Real, undeniable proof. So I started looking for a private investigator. NGL, it felt like something out of a bad movie, but I was beyond caring about appearances. I needed someone quiet, discreet, someone who knew how to operate in the shadows. It was during this time, through subtle hints from mutual friends, who probably felt awkward even saying anything, that I picked up on Sarah's narrative. She was already spinning the story. "Mike's been so distant. He's acting weird. I don't know what's gotten into him." Classic gaslighting, right? Making me out to be the problem. The one who's changed, the one who's pulling away. It just fueled my resolve. She wasn't just betraying me. She was trying to rewrite history, make me the villain. After a few dead ends, I found Stan. Stan was exactly what I needed. Older guy, ex-cop vibes, specialized in domestic stuff. He didn't ask a lot of questions, just listened, nodded, and gave me that look that said, "I've seen it all." I laid it all out, the motel, Paige, the whole rotten mess. He was direct. "Mike, first rule of this game, document everything. And I mean everything, dates, times what was said, what you saw. Second, we need a tracker. We need to know where she's going when she says she's at Brenda's. That night, my hands steady as a surgeon's, I installed the GPS tracker on Sarah's car. It was surprisingly easy, hidden away under the bumper. I felt a chill, like I was crossing a line, but NGL, it also felt powerful. Knowledge is power. And now I would know. Her movements, her patterns, her lies, all laid bare on a screen. My next step on Stan's advice was financial. I started covertly collecting everything: bank statements, credit card bills, investment portfolios, every piece of paper I could get my hands on. I made copies, scanned them, secured them. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about protecting myself, protecting Mark, protecting what was rightfully ours. I also made an appointment with a divorce lawyer, Frank, a sharp woman Stan recommended. Sitting in her office talking about equitable distribution and custody arrangements felt surreal. My life, reduced to legal jargon. But she was good, clear, and gave me a roadmap. It wasn't pretty, but it was a path forward. She emphasized the importance of irrefutable evidence for everything. The credit card statements were a goldmine. Suspicious purchases started jumping out at me. Fancy dinners for two, charges from boutiques I knew Sarah never shopped at for me, gifts that never materialized for anyone in the house. And then the motel charges. Different ones, same low rent vibe. Each one was a fresh stab, but also a fresh piece of evidence. Stan started sending me reports. Photos, Sarah and Todd, at a park, laughing, at a coffee shop, leaning in close, getting into his car, getting out of hers. There was even one of them holding hands, walking into one of those cheap motels. Each picture was a punch to the gut, but also a bullet in my clip. My emotional state was a constant seesaw between utter devastation and cold, calculating resolve. I also noticed Sarah's increased spending. New clothes, a handbag I'd never seen before, little trinkets for herself. It was like she was dressing up for a new life, a new identity. And I realized with a sickening clarity that she probably was. She was building a new life with Todd right under my nose, funded by our money. I became meticulous. I started a hidden journal on my laptop, documenting every conversation, every weird look, every time she left the house, every time she came back late. Dates, names, direct quotes. It wasn't just about proving the affair. It was about proving the emotional abuse, the gaslighting, the complete disregard for our marriage. In parallel, I was slowly, quietly securing my personal belongings. The small safe in my closet, usually holding passports and a few important papers, now held my dad's watch, some irreplaceable photos, Mark's baby album, things I couldn't bear to lose, things that were mine. I also set up a separate bank account. Nothing major, just slowly diverting a small amount of my salary each month. Enough for an emergency fund, enough to get me started in Florida without being completely reliant on my company's free apartment. It was about financial independence, a safety net. And the Florida move? That was still the ultimate goal. I started making arrangements with the company, quietly transferring some investments, ensuring my new salary would go into my new account. All calls, all emails with Stan and Frank were done on a burner phone or encrypted through secure channels. My phone was locked down, my laptop was locked down. I was building a fortress of secrecy around myself, a shield against their lies, and a weapon for my inevitable strike. The tension in the house was a constant hum, but I maintained my detached facade. Let her think I was brooding, depressed, confused. Let her feel safe in her deceit. She wouldn't know what hit her. Thanksgiving, the ultimate family holiday. For me, it was the final countdown, the last meal I'd share with Sarah under the pretense of a normal life. I'd made sure everyone was there, Mark, Paige, Sarah's sister, even Todd, because of course he was. Sarah, in her twisted logic, probably thought having him there was a genius move, proving how friendly we all were. NGL, it made my stomach churn watching her interact with him. The casual touches, the way her eyes lingered on him, the little inside jokes only they understood. It was disgusting, an open display of her deception, right there in my home, at my table. I had my phone recording in my pocket, discreetly. Stan had advised it. You never know what someone might say when they're relaxed, a few drinks in. I wasn't expecting a confession, but any small slip-up, any indication of their true relationship would be another piece of evidence. My logical investigator brain was firing on all cylinders, observing every glance, every laugh, every veiled comment. Paige, bless her heart, was clearly uncomfortable. I saw her shooting frustrated glances at Todd and even at Sarah. At one point, when Todd made some overly familiar comment to Sarah, Paige blurted out, "Todd, seriously, can you not?" The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Sarah just gave Paige a sharp look and forced a smile, but it was clear that even Paige couldn't stomach the charade anymore. It hurt, knowing my daughter was caught in this, but it also confirmed her knowledge, her complicity in trying to protect her mother's secret. Sarah was in full love-bombing mode with me. She put her hand on my arm, asked if I needed more gravy, talk about our plans for Christmas. All for show, obviously. Her attempts at normalcy were so transparent, so forced, it was almost laughable. She was trying to maintain the facade, trying to convince everyone, especially Paige, that everything was fine between us, that I was still her idiot husband, blissfully unaware. Mentally, I was already gone. My mind was on Florida, on the new job, on the quiet apartment, on the clean slate. The image of the fallout, the shock, the anger, the tears flickered in my mind, but I pushed it down. This was necessary. It was brutal, but necessary. I had to protect myself, and more importantly, I had to protect Mark from this toxic environment. Mid-dinner, after finishing my plate, I needed energy after all. I made my move. "Sorry, everyone, I announced, pushing back my chair. "Got to head out. Big meeting first thing tomorrow. Got to get a jump on the drive." I made sure to sound stressed, a little apologetic, playing the part of the dedicated worker bee. Sarah just sighed. "Oh, Mike, really? On Thanksgiving?" But it was a performative sigh for the benefit of the family. She knew what I was implying. "Yeah, the Michigan job, right?" Paige asked, a slight frown on her face. "That's right," I confirmed, my voice steady. Long drive ahead. I grabbed my bag, said my goodbyes quickly. As I walked out, I saw Sarah giving Todd a little smirk, a knowing glance. They thought they had me fooled. They thought I was off to Michigan, leaving them free to continue their sordid little affair. Good. That's exactly what I wanted them to think. Before I left in a quick practice movement, I placed a tiny hidden camera in the living room, tucked away behind a book on the shelf. It was motion activated, connected to my secure server. Another layer of evidence, another contingency. I didn't expect much, but you never know. People get comfortable when they think they're alone. Once I was in my truck, fully loaded with the essentials I'd packed over the last few days, I sent Sarah a text. "On the road now. See you guys after Thanksgiving break. Love you." The "love you" felt like ash in my mouth. It was the final lie, the last piece of performance. It confirmed her false belief. I didn't drive towards Michigan. I drove a couple hours south to a small, nondescript hotel I'd booked under a fake name. The relief that washed over me when I closed that hotel room door was immense, almost physical. But it was tinged with a deep, profound sadness. My old life was over. The marriage, the family unit I thought I had, it was all a lie. I was leaving it all behind. I spent the next few hours reviewing all the evidence I'd collected. The photos, the financial records, the recorded conversations from Thanksgiving dinner. Each piece solidified my resolve. There was no going back. This was the right thing to do, the only thing to do. Finally, I sent a concise, encrypted message to Stan. "Departed, all systems go. We'll be in touch from Florida." My new life, my new reality, was officially beginning. The drive down to Daytona Beach was long, filled with a strange mix of anticipation and a hollow ache in my chest. But as I pulled into the parking lot of my new apartment complex, the warm Florida air hitting my face, a tiny sense of peace settled in. This was it, the clean slate. The beginning. I unlocked the door to my company apartment, a modest but functional place, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe. I didn't waste any time. As soon as my bags were inside, I picked up my burner phone. I composed a short, cold text to Sarah. I'm in Daytona Beach, Florida, not Michigan. Our marriage is over. Don't call me. No drama, no long explanations, just the facts. I hit send. The eruption was immediate. My phone, the one Sarah still had the number for, started blowing up. Missed calls, voicemail after voicemail. I didn't listen to them then, but I could imagine the rage, the disbelief, the panic. She thought I was miles away, oblivious, and now her entire world was crumbling. Good. I followed up with an email sent to her personal address, the one she used for everything. Attached was the dossier Stan and I had meticulously compiled. The photos of her and Todd at motels, holding hands, laughing intimately. The credit card statements with the suspicious charges and hotel stays. The recorded Thanksgiving conversation, muted, so only my lawyer could hear it in court if needed, but the metadata was damning. Every piece of damning evidence laid out for her to see. In the body of the email I wrote, "This is why I will be filing for divorce based on your infidelity. My lawyer will be in touch." Then I blocked her number. Her texts started coming through on my other phone, the one I hadn't blocked yet. Desperate, accusatory. "What is this, Mike? You're making this up. You're crazy. I never did anything. You're destroying our family." Classic gaslighting. She was trying to shift the blame, to make me doubt myself. But it was too late. I just read them, felt nothing, and deleted them. My focus was on my new job, on unpacking, on building this new life. I refused to engage with her toxic drama. Then the call came that actually hit me. Paige. Her voice was shaking, cracking with tears. "Dad, what's going on? Mom's freaking out. She says you're crazy, that you lied about Florida, that you're leaving us. What's happening?" It was hard, NGL, hearing her so broken, but I had to tell her the truth, or at least some of it. "Paige," I said, my voice as gentle as I could manage, "your mom has been having an affair with Todd for a long time. I know you knew some of it, but it was worse than you thought. I have proof, pictures, financial records, everything." I explained that this wasn't a sudden decision, but a slow, painful realization fueled by her mother's betrayal. I sent her a few of the less explicit photos, enough to make her understand. "I didn't want to hurt you, honey, but I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies." That call I knew would be the catalyst. And it was. A few hours later, Mark called me, his voice tight with fear. "Dad, Mom and Paige are screaming at each other. What did you tell her? Mom's saying it's all your fault." The argument at home must have been monumental. Sarah, cornered, was doing what she did best, manipulating. "Your father's destroying everything. He's delusional. He made all of this up." I could practically hear her venom. She was trying to turn Paige against me, against the truth, but I had faith that Paige, despite her initial shock, would see through it. And Todd? Stan's updates came in. Todd was already distancing himself. His social media was wiped clean of any trace of Sarah. He stopped taking her calls. He knew the game was up, and he wasn't about to stick around for the fallout. He was a coward, just as I suspected. That night, after a full day of emotional warfare, I systematically changed all the passwords to our joint online accounts. Bank accounts, credit cards, investment portfolios. I locked her out, completely. This wasn't petty revenge. This was protecting myself and Mark. She had bled our finances dry enough with her affair. The next morning, I called Frank, my lawyer. "Send her the papers," I said, my voice firm. "No more delays." I started my new job. It was a welcome distraction, a way to channel my energy into something productive. The office was buzzing, new faces, new challenges. I threw myself into it, knowing that the real battle, the legal one, was just beginning back home. My old life was gone, shattered. My new one was just starting to take shape, piece by painful piece. This journey wasn't over, not by a long shot, but I was ready. Stick around to the end to see how life's costly choices unfold. As expected, Sarah didn't go down without a fight. The divorce papers hit her, and her first move was to lawyer up. I got the call from Frank, my lawyer, letting me know Sarah had retained counsel and was ready to dispute everything. NGL, it made me smile a little. Let her try. She had no idea what she was up against. Frank, true to her word, didn't hold back. She presented Sarah's lawyer with the full compiled dossier. The time-stamped photos, the GPS logs from the tracker, the damning credit card statements with motel charges and suspicious gifts, the recordings from Thanksgiving. Even the cryptic, "Are you Frank?" text, which suggested another layer of her deception. It was an overwhelming tidal wave of undeniable proof. Sarah's lawyer, a seasoned professional, quickly realized they were facing an uphill, if not impossible, battle. Frank relayed the message. Sarah's lawyer advised her to seek a settlement. They knew the jig was up. They knew trying to fight this in court would be a public spectacle that would only humiliate Sarah further and likely cost her more in the long run. This truth, like wildfire, began to spread through our small community. It wasn't just gossip, it was fact, backed by Frank's strategic releases of evidence, legally of course, that showed Sarah's affair was extensive and long-standing. People started looking at Sarah differently. Whispers followed her, invitations stopped coming, and even some of her closest friends began to distance themselves. Her reputation, once pristine, was now in tatters. This was also when I made my move on Todd. I found his wife's contact information and, through an anonymous email, sent her a carefully selected subset of the evidence. Photos of Todd and Sarah, GPS logs of his car at her house, a few of the more damning credit card statements showing his purchases for her. I didn't include anything that would expose me or Paige, just enough to blow up his life too. The results were swift and brutal. Within days, Stan confirmed that Todd's wife had confronted him. The screaming matches were legendary, apparently. His marriage imploded, just like mine. He lost his home, his family, everything. Justice, in a cold, hard sense, was being served. Sarah's social world crumbled. The women she'd golfed with, the couples we'd had dinner with, even some of her own family members, started giving her the cold shoulder. The pity was mixed with disgust. It was a stark public repercussion for her actions. And NGL, a part of me felt a grim satisfaction. She wanted to play games. Now everyone knew the con. Then the best news came. Paige called me, her voice firm. She said, "I've been thinking I can't stay here anymore. Not with Mom. Can I come live with you in Daytona?" My heart swelled. "Of course, honey," I choked out. "My apartment's ready. You'll have your own room. We'll figure out school, everything." Within a week, Paige was with me in Florida. I made sure she had everything she needed, enrolled her in a good school, helped her find a part-time job, and just made sure she felt safe and supported. This was a new beginning for both of us, a chance to rebuild. Sarah, reeling from the loss of her social standing, and now her daughter, tried one last desperate maneuver. She started spreading malicious lies about me, that I was abusive, that I had a drinking problem, that I was the one who abandoned the family. More gaslighting, more deflection. But Frank and I were ready. Whenever a ridiculous claim surfaced, we calmly and swiftly countered it with irrefutable evidence. A screenshot of a text, a financial record, a notarized statement. We shut her down every single time. The divorce proceedings continued, but the momentum was entirely on my side. Sarah's leverage had completely evaporated. She had no credible defense, no moral high ground, and now no public support. It was a slow, grinding process, but the outcome was never really in doubt. Ultimately, I secured full custody of Paige. Mark, being older, could choose, and for now, he was staying with his friends and trying to avoid the drama. The financial settlement was incredibly favorable to me, reflecting Sarah's egregious conduct and her depletion of our joint assets. She got enough to live on, but nothing close to what she would have received in a no-fault divorce. Her desperate attempts to save face, to paint herself as the victim, failed miserably. The truth, ugly as it was, had come out, and the community knew. I felt a deep, quiet sense of vindication. My strategic, methodical approach, my logical investigator brain, had worked. I had navigated the storm, protected my daughter, and emerged on the other side, battered but not broken. The old life was burned to ashes, and from them, a new, stronger one was already taking root. The fallout for Sarah wasn't just financial or social, it seeped into every corner of her life. Her professional life, once a source of pride, started to suffer. In a small town, reputation is everything, and hers was ruined. Clients started to quietly pull away. Colleagues kept their distance. She was radioactive. NGL, it was a harsh reality check, a direct consequence of her choices. Financially, she was in a tough spot. The settlement, while fair given her infidelity and drain on our assets, left her with a fraction of what she'd expected. She couldn't maintain the lifestyle she was accustomed to, the one we had built. She had to sell the house, downsize significantly, and start living within her new, much smaller means. The extra something she'd been seeking with Todd had cost her everything, and now she was paying the price. Her support network, already a ghost town after the public exposure, completely vanished. Even her own sister, after hearing the full, unvarnished truth from Frank's documents and then seeing Paige's pain, started to keep Sarah at arm's length. There was no one left for her to run to, no one to commiserate with, no one to enable her. She was isolated, utterly alone. And Todd? He was long gone. After his own marriage exploded, he cut off all ties with Sarah. No calls, no texts, no secret meetings. He had moved on to salvage whatever pathetic scraps were left of his life, leaving Sarah in the dust. She thought she had found a partner, a lover, but in the end, he was just another fleeting distraction, another consequence of her poor choices. Sarah, desperate for any connection, any redemption, started trying to mend things with Paige. She'd send texts, call, try to guilt trip her. "I miss you, honey. I made mistakes, but I love you." But Paige, though hurt, wasn't stupid. She'd seen too much. She'd heard too many lies. She'd been too deeply betrayed. I made sure to support Paige in setting firm boundaries. "It's okay to love your mom, Paige," I'd tell her, "but you don't have to accept her behavior or her lies. You decide how much contact you want and on what terms." Paige was wary, guarded. She'd listen to her mom, but she wouldn't allow herself to be manipulated anymore. Her trust was broken, and it wasn't something easily repaired. Sometimes Sarah would express regret to Paige, to mutual acquaintance, even in an email to me once, but it always sounded hollow. It was never about the pain she caused, the trust she shattered, or the marriage she destroyed. It was always about how her life had been ruined, how she was suffering, how she had lost everything. Self-pity, not true remorse. Neither Paige nor I were fooled. She faced the stark reality of living alone in a much smaller apartment, with no one to blame but herself. No more grand vacations, no more lavish dinners, no more perfect facade. Just the quiet, isolating consequences of her choices. That extra something she craved? It was gone, and she was left with nothing but the empty space it left behind. Her attempts to portray herself as a victim continued for a while, a desperate flailing against the inevitable. But no one was buying it. The community, the few people left who would even speak to her, knew the truth. They remembered Mike as the wronged husband, the one who tried to keep his family together, the one who moved away to protect his kids. Sarah was the architect of her own destruction. She even tried to manipulate a few old acquaintances, spreading whispers, trying to turn them against me. But by now, her reputation was so thoroughly wrecked that her schemes just backfired, further cementing her as untrustworthy and manipulative. It was pathetic, honestly. For me, being in Florida, building a new life with Paige, it was a process of healing. I recognized that my emotional recovery was entirely separate from Sarah's suffering. Her pain was hers. Her consequences were her own burden to bear. I wasn't celebrating her downfall, but I wasn't mourning it either. It was simply the natural outcome of her actions. I had done what I needed to do to survive, to protect my daughter, and to rebuild. Her choices led her here, and now she had to live with them. Todd's world, like Sarah's, didn't just unravel, it detonated. His marriage officially ended, and unlike mine, it was a spectacularly messy, public divorce. My lawyer, Frank, confirmed that Todd's wife had a field day with the evidence I discreetly provided. There was no hiding it. The community, already buzzing from Sarah's exposure, now had a second target. His kids, unfortunately, were caught in the crossfire. They were old enough to understand, old enough to feel the shame and betrayal. Stan confirmed that their relationships with Todd became severely strained, perhaps irrevocably damaged. He was no longer just dad, he was the cheater. And that NGL was a consequence he deserved to bear. His actions didn't just impact his wife, they wounded his children deeply. Professionally, Todd was hit hard. He ran his own business, and in that kind of setup, trust and reputation are paramount. Clients started jumping ship. Word spread like wildfire through his professional network. Losing clients meant financial instability, and I heard whispers of his business teetering on the brink. He was an idiot to call me, but he was a fool to think his choices wouldn't catch up to him professionally. His social standing was utterly ruined. He was universally branded a cheater, a snake in the grass. His friends, many of whom were mutual with his now ex-wife, dropped him. He went from being a respected community member to an outcast overnight. No more golf, no more casual hangouts, no more easy conversations. Just the cold, hard reality of being ostracized. Of course, being Todd, tried to blame Sarah. I heard through the grapevine that he was spinning a narrative that she pursued him, that she was the temptress. But his actions, the pictures, the GPS logs, the motel receipts, they were undeniable. No one bought his pathetic excuses. He was an adult, responsible for his own choices. He quickly found himself struggling. Financially, he was a mess, trying to keep his business afloat while paying alimony and child support. And lonely. So incredibly lonely. The extra something he thought he had with Sarah vanished, leaving him with nothing but an empty house and the bitterness of his self-inflicted wounds. He expressed regret, I heard, but it wasn't a moral awakening, not a deep introspection about the wrongness of his actions. It was purely regret over the personal losses: his wife, his kids' respect, his social life, his money. It was regret for getting caught, not for the damage he caused. I could see that from a distance, and it just solidified my initial assessment of him as a shallow, self-serving individual. I observed Todd's downfall from afar, through Stan's reports and the occasional tidbit from mutual acquaintances. In NGL, I felt nothing, no sympathy, no schadenfreude, just a quiet, detached observation of karma at work. He had made his bed, and now he was lying in it. He lost the respect of pretty much everyone who knew him, former friends, colleagues, even his own family. When you betray trust so fundamentally, it's not easily forgotten or forgiven. He tried to move on, tried to start fresh, but the shadow of his infidelity followed him everywhere. It was a brand, a permanent stain on his character. He was forced to confront the destructive nature of his choices, not just for others, but for himself. His affair with Sarah had a permanent, ugly scar on his relationships with his children. A father's betrayal is not something a child easily forgets. I reflected on the entire ripple effect. My marriage, our kids, his kids, our social circles, our finances. One selfish act, one moment of weakness, and it just kept spreading, causing pain and destruction to so many people. It was a powerful, brutal lesson in consequence. Todd became a cautionary tale, a whisper behind hands in every social circle he used to inhabit. Remember Todd? Yeah, don't be like Todd. And in that, I saw that justice in a moral sense had been served. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about the natural order of things, the universe balancing the scales. He reaped what he sowed, and the harvest was bitter. Life in Daytona Beach? NGL, it was like a completely different world. The sun, the ocean, the sense of starting fresh. It wasn't a magic cure, but it was damn close. I threw myself into my new job, and I thrived. The challenges were exhilarating, the team was supportive, and for the first time in ages, I felt valued, genuinely appreciated for my work. My logical investigator brain found a new purpose, solving actual problems instead of unraveling marital deceit. Paige? She was a revelation. She dove into her new school, making friends, excelling in her classes. The initial pain and confusion were still there, a lingering shadow, but with time and open communication, her trust in me slowly but surely rebuilt. We talked, really talked, about everything, about Sarah, about Todd, about the lies, about our feelings. It was hard but necessary. Our bond became stronger than ever, forged in the fires of shared experience in brutal honesty. We enjoyed our new life together, one built on truth, not on a crumbling foundation of secrets. It was peaceful, and for that, I was eternally grateful. I spent a lot of time reflecting. The pain of discovery, that gut punch at the motel, still felt visceral sometimes. But now it was framed by the liberation that followed. The meticulous investigation, the cold, calculating steps I took. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life, my self-respect, and my future. It was about standing up for myself and for my kids. I learned so much about trust, about how fragile it is, about the importance of setting boundaries, and most importantly, about my own self-worth. I deserve better, and I proved it to myself. Occasionally, I'd hear updates, usually through random mutual acquaintances or through Stan, who still kept an eye on things. Sarah was still struggling, financially, socially, emotionally. The professional blows never fully healed, and her isolation continued. Todd, his business folded, his kids barely spoke to him, and he'd become the town pariah. Their downward spirals weren't a source of joy for me, just a confirmation that actions have consequences. Serious, lasting consequences. My gratitude for Paige was immense. Her willingness to come with me, to trust me, to rebuild our lives together, meant everything. Our renewed bond was the greatest gift to come out of all that wreckage. We were a team, a solid unit, facing the future together. I started focusing on my future, embracing new opportunities, making new friends, even cautiously dating again. It was scary putting myself out there after such a profound betrayal, but I knew I couldn't let the past define me. I found a sense of peace, a real closure from the whole ordeal. The anger had faded, replaced by a quiet strength. I truly understood that real happiness doesn't come from keeping up appearances or chasing fleeting desires. It comes from honesty, integrity, and building genuine connections. That's what I was striving for now. Paige, in turn, blossomed into an incredibly strong, independent young woman. She saw firsthand the destructive path of deceit and the resilience of truth. She learned from her parents' mistakes, and I knew she would navigate her own life with far more wisdom and discernment. One year after moving to Daytona, Paige and I took a trip back to our old hometown. We drove through the familiar streets, past our old house, now sold, past Sarah's sad little apartment, past Todd's shuttered business. And it was weird. There was no emotional baggage, no gut-wrenching pain. We saw it all with fresh eyes as a place that once was, a chapter that had closed. We had moved on. I immersed myself in my new community, finding purpose in my work and in my relationship with Paige. We built a good life, an honest life. I found genuine happiness again, not the superficial kind, but a deep, abiding contentment. It was a true testament to overcoming profound betrayal, proof that even after everything is shattered, you can pick up the pieces and build something even stronger, something real. The echoes of betrayal reverberated far beyond the initial shock, carving indelible scars into every life it touched. Sarah, once the epitome of suburban grace, found herself stripped of her reputation, her financial stability, and the very friendships she had so meticulously cultivated. Her attempts at gaslighting and manipulation, once effective within the confines of our marriage, backfired spectacularly in the cold light of public scrutiny, leaving her isolated and bitter. Todd, the other man, also faced his reckoning. Losing his family, his business, and his standing in the community, his infidelity a permanent brand on his character. Their extra something came at an immeasurable cost, leaving them to grapple with the profound loneliness and regret that stemmed not from remorse, but from loss. For Paige and me, the journey was arduous, marked by pain and rebuilding. We navigated the shattered landscape of our family, finding strength in honesty and a renewed, unbreakable bond. Our new life in Daytona Beach, built on truth and mutual respect, became a sanctuary of peace and genuine happiness. This wasn't just a story of infidelity. It was a testament to the devastating ripple effect of deceit and the ultimate triumph of integrity. The cost of betrayal is steep, paid in fractured lives and broken trust, but the path to healing, though arduous, leads to an authenticity far more valuable than any fleeting secret.